Welcome to the Coaching Crew Show. Tantor, myself, Charlie Kraus. We're covering the divisional round conference semifinals of the NFL playoffs the weekend that was. And we're going to just talk briefly about our main takeaways of the weekend. I'll go first since I'm already talking, and then we'll ping pong back and forth. One of my main takeaways is teams this weekend went the four winning teams all won the rushing battle this weekend. And overall, since the playoffs started, only one team that has not won the rushing battle has won. And that was the Cincinnati-Baltimore game from last weekend, wildcard weekend, where Cincinnati did not win the rushing battle. So every team that has run the ball better than your opponent, regardless of the wide receiver, tight end play, regardless of the defense, regardless of the quarterbacks, if you've run the ball, you are now something like 9-1 against your opponents. Eventually, that's not going to be a coincidence. And you saw it today, even at the end of the San Francisco game, they pulled away. And it was because they were able to run the ball in that final drive. I think Philadelphia is still running currently against the Giants. Phil can back me up on that one, though. Last time I checked, they were only at 268 yards rushing. They might be over the 300-yard bill mark by now, the recording of this video. Looking the afternoon game with Cincinnati, they clearly outran Buffalo. And well, that's a whole different storyline there. But Cincinnati was able to outrun Buffalo. And then Kansas City, surprisingly, it was able to outrun Jacksonville as well. So there's got to be, after a while, it's no longer a coincidence. That's my main takeaway from the weekend as a whole. Phil, let's switch over to you and just start with one of your main takeaways.
At the beginning of the playoffs, we were all just sitting around talking, and I said, Cincinnati's going to win the whole damn thing. They just have too good of a team. They were killing people. And then their offensive line, their entire offensive line is in the hospital or something. I don't know. They're all hurt and they're all injured and out of the game. So it's like, Cincinnati, they're not going to do anything. There's no way they can stand up to Buffalo. They wiped Buffalo out with a makeshift offensive line. My main takeaway is Cincinnati is just amazing. They are stinking freaking amazing. And I don't know if anybody else has anything for them. I don't care if it's the San Francisco 49ers who, as I predicted, were just going to beat Dallas up and win at the end, which is what they did. They beat Dallas up. And Philadelphia, who is a bunch of men that's out there just busting on people. I don't think either one of them still has anything for Cincinnati.
And we'll go back to the games in a second, but I've got a second main takeaway, and let's see how you play on this. In the playoffs, for these closer games, the spot that matters most, and I know I just bragged about it, how the rushing attack was, but the offensive position that needs to be guarded on these close games is the tight end position. You look at the two non-blowout games, and you got Kelsey and Kittle, who each earned the game ball, in my opinion. And those tight ends were the difference makers of those two tough games.
And that's true, though, with any team. If you've got a great tight end, a tight end is a mismatch for the defense. They are too fast for a linebacker to cover, and they're too big for DB to cover. And when you've got a great tight end, like both of those teams do, because they do, and don't forget Philadelphia, because Goddard made one hell of a catch against the Giants.
Great point.
And he was fantastic. And they got the one for Cincinnati made a couple touchdowns today. So all of them had great tight ends. All of them made plays. Simply put, they're faster than the linebackers covered them. They're too big for the DBs, and they're a matchup nightmare. And these young quarterbacks on a three-step drop can hit them right across the middle between the numbers and make big plays. And it's a very important position, especially play action if you've already established that running game, which all those teams did.
I'm not going to say, maybe I can go with you for most surprised, but my answer for most surprised, I'm not going to say I was most surprised by it. Let's just say I was friendly reminded, okay? Because you get a week off and because they had a couple of weeks where Jalen was on the shelf, I was friendly reminded just how good Philadelphia is. So if there was something that I clearly missed on, it was being reminded how good Philadelphia is. What was your biggest either miss or friendly reminder of the weekend?
How good Kansas City's defense actually is. Because I thought that their defense was basically a joke, and that was a one man team with Patrick Mahomes. Oh no, he sprains his ankle, he goes out. Chad Henne goes, what, 80, 90 yards or something, scores. The defense for Kansas City basically holds Jacksonville down, gets big turnovers when they need it. You tend to overlook that Kansas City defense, and that was where I was reminded of something. Hey, they got a decent defense, man. They got a defense that'll make plays, and that team's more than one guy.
All right, we're not going to get into next week's games yet. We'll do that midweek, folks. So when you visit our website, coachingcrewshow.com, or you subscribe to us, see the cheap plugs. I'm going Mick Foley here with the cheap plugs, folks, in the middle of our segment. When you go and subscribe and you can receive our video on either Wednesday or Thursday of this week of our previews, you can watch the previews then. But we're talking this weekend right now. Any other final takeaways from the weekend that leave an impression that you will have chats with on Monday morning about?
Dallas is who we thought they were.
San Francisco now travels to Philadelphia, and we're starting to get a little San Francisco following, even though we're East Coast folks. So, hey, San Francisco fans, welcome to the Coaching Crew Show. We'll cover your game. We'll also cover the AFC game, the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Cincinnati Bengals. So please like and subscribe, comment below on what your number one takeaway was the weekend, and visit our website, coachingcrewshow.com. Thanks for watching.